All right, guys, so it could be a difficult thing to get your home office or your gaming room to actually sound good if you want to stream or have conference calls. So I have worked with Arrowzoom in the past, and we did a review on these sound panels to reduce the reverb that we have in this room that actually has hardwood. So when they reached out and wanted to see if I wanted to try out their new Pro versions that actually have 30% more sound absorption, I thought I'd give them a shot. So let's take a look. So guys, if you look at their standard version versus their Pro version, you can see why you get more sound absorption. It's just bigger footprint. It's a lot thicker. They're actually separated off of this base where they don't have that on the standard version itself. So you get a lot more sound absorption out of these bigger panels. Now, for the install for this one, I did it basically the conventional way last time with these little 3M pads on the back directly onto the wall. I'm going to do it a little bit differently this time to try to get a little bit more versatility and make it so I can move these around a little bit easier if I wanted to. So what we're going to do is actually use some large cardboard, attach these to the cardboard with the 3M strips, and then use command strips to actually connect these to the wall. So if I ever want to take them off or move them, it's a whole lot easier. All right, guys, so as you can see, the panels are now installed, and I'm going to talk about the installation just a little bit, and then we'll talk about how it affected the room and what I liked and disliked about this setup. All right, so first, I really do like the fact that I actually used the cardboard for this install instead of taping directly to the wall, but there's a couple things you might need to keep in mind. So first, these panels are a lot heavier and bigger than the previous ones. And two, the cardboard came in kind of curved because the packaging from Amazon was super tight. So that came into an initial problem with the 3M tape I was initially using because they ended up basically falling off as soon as I put them up on the wall. So I did end up having to use the spray glue. If you're going to do a setup like this, go ahead and use the glue right away. It is a lot easier and faster, and it makes it so they are not going to fall off the wall as soon as you put them up. But I do like the fact they turned into almost like a 24 by 36 sound panel once you put them on the cardboard. It makes it so I'm going to be able to take them off the wall and rearrange them if needed a lot easier than I would have in the past, putting them up panel by panel against the wall itself. So let's get into what I really liked about this setup. First off, I did replace these with the original version that's not the HD version. And I know it's really hard to come through on the camera, but it did improve the overall sound quality of the room. They make the claim that these do absorb 30% more of the sound bouncing around the room. That's a really hard thing to measure in a room like this, but I can tell a slight difference now that I'm sitting here recording in a similar situation that I have in the past. So if you're someone that does a lot of conference calls, does a lot of recording or a lot of streaming, it's going to be really important that you have high quality audio without reverb and echo when you're in those situations. And this definitely does help out with that in this room, especially with LVP floors in here that love to echo voice all over the place. The second thing is I find that these larger panels with the thicker base and the kind of more rounded off design of the pyramid looks more like an accent in the room now than just sound deadening. When you combine that with the black color that makes it hide a little bit more in the background, I don't find that I feel like I need to hide these in the background of video or on conference calls as much as I did in the past with the gray versions that were the pyramids. It does look a lot less like foam on the wall than it did with the previous versions. And then thirdly, obviously there is the price aspect of this. These aren't all that more expensive than the regular versions to get higher quality audio in your room, but they're also not nearly as expensive as some other options out there if you're really wanting to get better sound deadening in a room, whether it be a home theater, office, or recording situation. So is there anything I didn't particularly like about this setup? First off, you are dealing with foam, which means when you first unpack them, you have to let them sit for 24 hours to actually come to shape. You can't throw them in the dryer and do some other little tricks to make that happen faster, but I typically just let them sit. Secondly, when you go to install these, you're gonna find that you kind of want to adjust the panels here and there if you really are strict about wanting to have perfect lines across and up and down. So I find that I install these on the wall and then I sit back after about 24 hours and start adjusting little corners here and there to make sure those lines are straight. Now, if that doesn't bother you, it won't be that big of a deal. It does with me, so I find that I go in and adjust a little bit over time. And then next, these are still foam panels. There are a lot more decorative solutions that you can do on the market. They are a lot more expensive, but if you're in a home theater setup where you really want the atmosphere of the room to look a certain way, you're probably going to want some acoustic panels or something that looks a little bit better in the room. For me in my office setup and when I'm recording videos, it's not that big of a deal for me. But if you are in a high-end situation where you're trying to get a lot better sound deadening, sound quality, you might look into some other options that are a little bit more decorative. So guys, overall, I really like the setup for this office situation when I'm doing my video recording and conference calls in this room. It is really important to me to have high-quality audio, and for the price point of these, I can do a lot of these in the room and really increase the quality of that audio without having to worry about that reverb and echo. So guys, I want to hear what you think down in the comment section below. Do you have any questions about the install or these panels? I'll go ahead and try to answer those as much as I can. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to Rob Sutton for more reviews like this in the future. And until then, on to the next one. Thanks guys, see ya.